Hello friends and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we will be learning about the poem In the Bazaars of Hyderabad, written by Sarojini Naidu. Before we start, let us look at what we will be doing in this video. We will be looking at the introduction to this poem, analyzing the poem, summary of this poem. We will be discussing the various themes in this poem, and finally we will be identifying the figures of speech which include poetic devices. So let us begin with the introduction to this poem. In the Bazaars of Hyderabad is a beautiful and vibrant poem written by Sarojini Naidu that portrays the lively atmosphere of a traditional Indian marketplace through rich imagery, colorful descriptions, and musical sounds. Presented as a conversation between the speaker and different vendors such as merchants, flower sellers, goldsmiths, fruit sellers, and musicians, the poem vividly brings alive the sights, sounds, colors, and fragrances of Hyderabad's bustling bazaars. Through the description of Indian textiles, jewelry, spices, fruits, and handmade crafts, Naidu celebrates the beauty, skill, and cultural richness of India. Beyond its colorful surface, the poem also reflects patriotism and pride in Indian traditions during the Swadeshi movement and British rule, highlighting India's self-reliance and cultural heritage. So let us move ahead and analyze the poem. In the Bazaars of Hyderabad is a beautiful and elaborate poem, and it requires deep understanding. Therefore, I'll be doing line by line explanation that will be stanza wise. So please make note of the important keywords and poem points that I will be mentioning. Also, alongside the slides, I have given appropriate pictures. Kindly refer to that as well so that you get a detailed understanding and you'll be able to imagine the picture and get a clear understanding. Let us begin with the first stanza, stanza 1. What do you sell, O you merchants? Richly your wares are displayed. Turbans of crimson and silver, tunics of purple brocade, mirrors with panels of amber, daggers with handles of jade. So in the first stanza of this poem, the speaker, as we assume to be a customer of the bazaar, poses a question. He asks, what do you sell, O you merchants? A variation of this same question is going to be repeated at the beginning of each stanza. So every time a question appears by a customer, the owner of the market store replies, "Oh ye," which addresses multiple merchants respectfully, suggesting Hyderabadi culture's formal and courteous manners. So when the customer asks, what do you sell, O you merchants? The answer comes from the vendor, and he states that there are wares that are displayed, richly displayed. As you can see here, richly your wares are displayed. So richly here suggests both material wealth and aesthetic excellence. However, they are organized in a luxurious and beautiful way which makes the customer want to buy them or at least know more about them. The merchants are skilled at presentation, arranging goods to attract the buyers. So the second line answers that the wares themselves are magnificent. Wares refers to sort of pottery that are set for sales. The owner of these products responds to the question by stating that they are selling turbans, tunics, mirrors, daggers. So why does he say that? Because every one of these products is described appealingly, as you would expect. So the question over here is posed to the merchants. So a merchant is the vendor here, and a customer is the one who's asking the question. And this is the reply that the merchant gives the customer. You will understand better as we move forward. So the merchant says that there are turbans of crimson and silver. Now the turbans are surprisingly bright, being sold in crimson and silver. Now this is a very important point to note, because the turbans are in crimson and silver. Now why? Because they are traditional colors in Indian textiles, particularly those worn by the Hyderabadi culture. Now in this picture you can see what it means. The turbans which are made of crimson, this color, and silver here. So turbans were essential elements of formal dress, and their combination of rich colors indicates luxury and status. So next the vendor says that there are tunics of purple brocade. When the tunics are said to be of purple brocade, brocade refers to a fabric made of multicolored silk threads with metallic additions. So purple over here signifies royalty and prestige. So these tunics, as you can see in the picture given here, purple tunics, they clearly state high status garments worn by the wealthy and the noble at that time. So let us move on to the next line. Mirrors with panels of amber. This introduces decorative household items. Panels of amber means that frames made from amber are decorated with amber colored materials. Now you can see it in this picture. Mirrors with panels of amber. These stones are amber. So these are not usual mirrors, but they are luxury items for the wealthy, functioning as both practical items and decorative elements. So next line says, daggers with handles of jade. This completes the stanza with weapons that are also, status symbols. So jade here is a precious stone associated with beauty. Now in this picture you can see daggers with handles of jade. This is a jade. So it is a precious stone, and it is associated with beauty and value in Asian culture. So they are not crude weapons, but they are finely crafted for the elite look, which indicates that the bazaar here serves the wealthy and the aristocratic. Now if you look at this stanza, the last two items seem to be different. In that way, they aren't pieces of clothing. This shows the variety of items in this single stall and the quality of material the vendor has access to. So this person is able to sell mirrors with amber frames and daggers with handles of jade. So let me summarize this stanza for you. The poem or the stanza begins with the poet's question to the merchants about what they are selling, and she sees that the goods are displayed nicely to attract the buyers. The merchants reply that they are selling crimson and silver colored turbans, purple brocade tunics, mirrors with amber frames, and daggers with handles of jade. Jade is nothing but a green stone, you can see here. So this first stanza focuses on luxury and exquisite craftsmanship, establishing the richness of the bazaar. I hope the first stanza is clear for you. So let us move on to the second stanza. In the second stanza, without any transition, the poet moves the narrative onto the next stall. So there is no clear definition between a first customer and a second. So a reader can, we can assume that the same customer is visiting multiple stores, or a different person is asking the question. So although we consider that the questions are in the same format, so therefore we can also assume that the customer should also be the same. So again here we can see the customer asking, What do you weigh, O you vendors? Saffron and lentil and rice. What do you grind, O you maidens? Sandalwood, henna and spice. What do you call, O you peddlers? Chessmen and ivory dice. So in this stanza, the customer's question is altered to fit the product being sold. It shifts its focus from luxury fabrics to essential spices and grains. So early, the stall that our customer visited was of the merchants, but here it is of the vendors. What do you weigh, O you vendors? So the stall carries grains and spices, and it shifts its focus from luxury fabrics to spices and usual grains. So they ask first what it is that the vendors weigh. So here weigh indicates that these items are sold by weight, that is bulk commodities rather than individual luxury items. The vendors are asked specifically about weighting because measuring by weight is central to spice and grain sales. So this is also in reference to the sandalwood which is ground, and we'll see that a few lines later. And here the answer comes saffron and lentil and rice. So these are essential Indian ingredients. Saffron is the most expensive spice that you can find in the market, which is used on special occasions and ceremonies. So there we use saffron. Lentils and rice are staple foods, indicating the bazaar serves all economic classes, not only the wealthy but also ordinary people seeking daily necessities. So next our customer goes ahead and asks the maidens, what do you grind, O you maidens? So this is addressing young women who are engaged in preparing the products. Grind indicates that they are processing raw materials into fine powders. The poets addressing them as maidens adds personal warmth and recognition of their labor. So they answer sandalwood, henna and spice. So these list the products that are being sold. Sandalwood is used for cosmetic and medicinal purposes. Not only that, it can be ground and it is used to treat the skin. Sandalwood is also used for medicinal purposes and for creating fragrant pastes. Henna here is used for temporary body art and for tinting hair and skin. So both of these are essential for Indian beauty practices and ceremonies. The inclusion of spice here suggests grinding for culinary purposes as well, for cooking and other stuff. So it is accompanied by henna and spice of an undefined variety. So these are the things that are being ground in the market. The next line, what do you call, O you peddlers? So this asks about the salesmen's trade cries, the announced wares through which they advertise their goods. Here call refers to the local vendors' vocal announcement. They are screaming and walking through the marketplace, calling out and screaming and announcing about their products through the marketplace. So that's why our poet or the speaker asks the peddlers, what are you calling? What are you announcing? So in reply they say chessmen and ivory dice. So this introduces luxury entertainment items. They are not everyday products, but they are items for games played by the wealthy. So the specific mention of ivory indicates that they are high quality and expensive pieces, and the bazaar serves multiple economic statuses, from the wealthy with their ivory games to ordinary people who are buying essential spices. So in the last two lines of this stanza, the speaker delivers another question. So this time asking what it is that the peddlers are calling or announcing to those passing by the marketplace. So they answer chessmen and ivory dice. Again, This one area of the market contains a variety of products being sold side by side. So in this stanza, you can see that they are weighing saffron, lentil and rice. So we can see, we have a sense of sight, and they are grinding, so we get a sense of hearing as well, a sense of sound, and calling, again we get a sense of hearing. So you can imagine the fuss or how noisy the marketplace might be, the different kinds of sounds you can hear, and you will understand better as we move ahead. So the speaker is trying to say how a typical marketplace will look like in Hyderabad. So let's move ahead. I hope this is clear. Stanza 3. What do you make, O you goldsmiths? Wristlet and anklet and ring. Bells for the feet of blue pigeons, frail as the dragonfly's wing. Girdles of gold for dancers, scarbards of gold for the king. So the customer asks the goldsmiths here. Again, a customer is starting the stanza with a question, but this time asks the goldsmiths what they make. So this is addressing a different craft working with a precious metal. So what do you make? Here make emphasizes the active creation of items, which highlights the goldsmith's skill and artistry. Now in reply, the goldsmith answers wristlet and anklet and ring. So they give the answer, and the speaker is attempting to sell his vase to this person and is bragging on the lightness or durability of these metals. So these are essential ornaments in Indian culture, and they are worn by both men and women, which indicates the status and the beauty of our culture. So the listing follows the body progression. You can clearly see the pictures here of the wristlet, anklet and the ring. The clear pictures are given here. So this follows our perfect body's progression, the wrist, ankle and the hand. So first he speaks on status and beauty. And next again the goldsmith answers bells for the feet of blue pigeons. Now what is special here is the blue pigeons, because it is not very common. He says that he is making the bells for the feet of the pigeons, for the feet. So these are tiny bells attached to the pigeon's feet, as you can see in this picture. They are ornamental rather than functional. So the specification of blue pigeons indicates that they are valuable birds. They are not common birds that you can see. They are not common pigeons. So the gold used in the bells must be frail and light, like the wings of a dragonfly. They are frail as a dragonfly's wing. So here the speaker is using a simile and comparing the bell's delicacy to a dragonfly's wing. You can see the wing of a dragonfly in this picture. The poetic description conveys the artistry of the goldsmith's work, that the bells are so finely crafted that they seem as delicate and they are so beautiful as nature's most fragile creatures, which is a dragonfly. The simile elevates the goldsmith's work to the level of natural beauty. And the goldsmith further goes ahead and says, girdles of gold for dancers. Now this is a comparison to a dragonfly's wing, and here girdles of gold for dancers. So this would be a piece of wrapped jewelry that would go around a dancer's waist. As you can see in this picture, these are the girdles of gold for dancers. It is worn around the waist. The specification of gold indicates that they are expensive, they are high quality and they are worn during important performances and the gold girdles, they indicate their status and the importance of their performance. So lastly, he mentions something more durable for the gold used in the scabbards of the king. Scabbards of gold for the king. So it represents the highest status item in the stanza, which is the scabbard for the king. So scabbards are sheaths for swords. You can refer to this picture. They are items of royal authority and they are made of gold, which indicates this king's supreme status and power. So this line suggests that the bazaar connects to the highest levels of society. Even they serve the royalty itself, and the merchants' products are suitable for a wide variety of situations. From the pigeons to the royal kings can use these products. I hope this is clear. Let us move ahead to the fourth stanza. What do you cry, O you fruitmen, citron, pomegranate and plum? What do you play, O musicians, sitar, sarangi and drum? What do you chant, O magicians, spells for aeons to come? So here again the poet starts with a question. Why do you cry, O fruitmen? So now he's addressing the fruitmen. So the speaker is encountering the fruitmen, musicians and magicians. So here if you see, all these three occupations take the vendors a step away from the marketplace. So their lives are becoming more defined in the text. So first a reader knew only a vendor who was selling an object. But now we are aware of a deeper history to the people beyond the products that are for sale. So here he asks the fruitman, why do you cry? Here this is the same kind of statement that was seen in the second stanza, in which we could see the peddlers were asked what is it that they call. So from these two statements set apart by one stanza, we can understand the sounds of the marketplace ringing out around the bazaar. The calls, the cries of different vendors will overlap and it creates a chorus of products and desires. So here cry refers to the vendors' vocal announcements, the distinct calls that echo through the marketplace advertising their goods. So the stanza shifts from manufactured products to natural products. So as an answer to this question, the men respond or they yell to the passing shoppers that they sell citron, pomegranate and plum. So these are fresh fruits available in the Hyderabadi marketplace. They are not exotic, foreign fruits, but they are traditional South Indian produce. So as you can see here, the fruitmen, they talk about citron, pomegranate and plum. These are the fruits. So far in the poem, we can understand that the poem is appealing to one's sense of sight and sound. With the addition of food items, one is drawn by their desire for a beautiful produce and vibrant meals. It is also important that the poet chose these fruits. Now please refer to these pictures. India is the largest producer of pomegranates and it is common to find citron in traditional Indian medicine. So it is used as a tonic to cure vomiting, skin disease and many other ailments. So lastly, the poet talks about plums. They are present for the opposite reason of the other two. The other two are found in abundant in India or specifically South India, but the plums, they are rare in India and they are presented as somewhat out of the ordinary kind that we can find here. So next the poet asks, what do you play, O musicians? So here the speaker asks the musicians, present in the scene, what is it that they are playing? So this introduces entertainment and cultural expression. Here, play refers to playing musical instruments and creates, a sense of music, and it appeals to a sense of hearing. This expands the bazaar beyond commercial transactions to include cultural and artistic dimensions. Now, further ahead, the musicians reply, sitar, sarangi, and drum. So the response he gets is not the one that defines the song, but it is of the instruments needed to accomplish it. The musicians respond that they are playing the sitar, or sitar, which is a string instrument, as you can see in this picture, that originated from India. There is also a sarangi, which is recognizable as a short-necked string instrument, also from India. Lastly, there is a drum, a more common musical instrument, but it makes a lot of sound and it adds to the music being played. So these lines, as well as the lines ahead, they show that a reader's auditory senses are again appealed. So together they represent the diversity of India and its musical traditions, which are available in the marketplace. So these are all the instruments that we can find at the marketplace: the sitar, sarangi, and the drum. Now further, our poet asks, what do you chant, O magicians? It is the magicians to whom the speaker turns next. It introduces the supernatural and mysterious. So since this scene is taking place in a market, and that it is very clear that profit is the main motive, so the magicians have been added to the text alongside the musicians to further a reader's understanding of our Indian culture. So what do you chant, O magicians? What does chant mean? Chant means a verbal incantation, or a repetition of magical formulas. Magicians are included in the bazaar's population, which shows that the marketplace includes not only practical commerce but also wonder, mystery, and also some magical entertainment is provided to the people there. Spells for aeons to come. So this reveals why the magicians offer, why they are there. Spells are magical incantations. So, and aeons. Aeons, it suggests the spell's power and duration, like the ages or eternities. It shows about the magic that will affect future generations, and it creates an eternal and timeless quality to their work. So this introduces an element of supernatural and eternal into a temporary marketplace. As you can see in this picture, a marketplace which had only, maybe fruits and plum and daggers, mirrors, etc. Now there's a supernatural and eternal element. The magicians come into the scene and they create a sort of supernatural environment and a magic that will affect future generations. So the other things in the marketplace, such as fruits or music, it's temporary, but the poet suggests that this magical scenario that's going on will continue. Spells for eons to come. It is permanent. It will affect future, and it creates a timeless quality to their work. I hope this is clear. Let us move on to the fifth stanza, stanza 5. What do you weep, O you flower girls, with tassels of azure and red, crowns for the brow of a bridegroom, chaplets to garland his bed, sheets of white blossoms new garnered, to perfume the bed of the dead. So in the last stanza of the poem, the poet asks, what do you weep, O you flower girls? So here the poet asks the flower girls what they are weeping with the azure and red, with tassels of azure and red. So azure means deep blue And red tassels means strands of flowers. So she addresses young women engaged in creating flower garlands and arrangements. So here weave suggests the skilled, interlacing of flowers into complex patterns. Flower Girls emphasizes that they are, their youth and the aesthetic and cultural significance of their labor. So when the poet asks with tassels and azure of red, it signifies the colors of the decorative threads incorporated into the arrangements. So azure, which is bright blue, and red, which are vibrant, they are auspicious colors of our Indian culture. You can see the pictures of them here. So this is azure and red tassels. So they are incorporating or interlacing the flowers into a thread and they are making garlands. So these colors echo the opening stanzas crimson and silver. If you remember in the beginning, we read about crimson and silver for the turbans. So in the same way, this creates visual and thematic cohesion across the poem. So the flower girls, they answer, crowns for the brow of a bridegroom. So this describes the flower arrangements for wedding ceremonies. You can see the pictures here. They are not literal crowns but elaborate floral headpieces which are worn during wedding celebrations. So the bridegroom's decoration suggests wedding ceremonies' festive celebratory nature and the importance of flowers in marking life's significant movements. And further ahead, the flower girls answer and say, chaplets to garland his bed. So these are all the key words: tassels of azure and red, crowns for the brow, and chaplets to garland his bed. So they say that they are also making garlands for the bride and the groom to adorn their bed for the wedding night. So chaplets to garland his bed means the flower garlands placed on the wedding bed. So chaplets are wreaths or garland arrangements, and these flowers decorate the marriage bed, and that represents or suggests fertility, beauty, and sanctity of the wedding night. The specific reference to the bridegroom's bed, it shows attention to intimate details of an Indian wedding tradition. And they also say that they are making it to as sheets of white blossoms new garnered. So what does this mean? They say that they are also making sheets of newly brought white flowers for use on the dead man's grave for fragrance. So this line is very important because the poet represents an Indian market to give us a sense of the rich Indian heritage as an appreciation of our own goods. So here sheets of white blossoms new garnered introduces a striking contrast, because here sheets, they are sheets of white flowers which are prepared from new garnered blossoms, which are newly gathered flowers. So the whiteness and the newness suggests purity and freshness. And they say to perfume the sleep of the dead. So it reveals the final purpose, that these white flower sheets are placed on graves to perfume the dead person's final resting place. Sleep of the dead here suggests peaceful rest. So this final line, it contrasts life and death, joy and sorrow, and it is very powerful because the same flowers are marking both marriage as well as funeral rites. So the poet has returned to the colors seen in the first stanza. The connection between the colors creates a feeling of unity between stanza 1 and stanza 5. So it also helps to cast the entire market in vibrant and beautiful light. So no matter where one turns, they see something that's engaging and catches the attention of a viewer. So it's very enticing and attractive. The response of the speaker that the speaker gets is most personal, because the flower girls, are working on crowns for a bridegroom, which is a man who's going to get married, as well as chaplets, which are type of rosary to cover his bed. So this is the first and the only look the reader gets into what the items in the marketplace will be really used for. Earlier we saw fruits as well as musical instruments. We saw daggers, tunics, turbans, etc. But now we have got a description on what these products are used for in the last stanza. It is expanded in the first stanza, and the only look the reader gets into what the items will be used for. So when the flower girls describe how they are also making shrouds for the dead person, it gives a description on how much they even care for the dead. These items, they are just as for the living, for the groom, the same way they are made with care even for the dead. They are still related to the natural beauty of the world, and with their addition creates a connection between life and death. So there is something for anyone on any occasion in the bazaars, be it for a person who is living, for a person who is dead, for a person who is royal, for a normal pigeon, for a king, for a woman or a civilian who's going to the market to get spices, for fruits, for a musician, for everyone. There are products available in the market. So this final stanza achieves profound philosophical depth, that the bazaar's flowers serve both life's greatest celebrations, which is a wedding, and death's final rites until the funeral. So suggests that the marketplace encompasses all aspects of human existence. Neither joy or sorrow is excluded, because the bazaar serves the complete cycle of a normal human life. I hope this is clear. So thereby we come to the end of the explanation of this whole poem. I hope it was clear and you have understood each and every point. If you have any more doubts in the explanation or the stanzas, please let me know through the comment section below. I will be happy to help you. So now let us look at the summary of this poem. In the Bazaars of Hyderabad by Sarojini Naidu beautifully portrays the lively atmosphere of a traditional Indian marketplace. The poem is written in the form of questions and answers between the speaker and different vendors in the bazaar. The poem begins with merchants displaying colorful turbans, mirrors, daggers, and embroidered tunics. As the speaker moves through the market, different sellers describe spices, fruits, jewelry, and musical instruments and flowers with pride and enthusiasm. Each stanza highlights the beauty, craftsmanship, and cultural richness of India. In the final stanza, the flower sellers describe making garments for weddings and flowers for funerals, showing both the joyful and sorrowful moments of life. Through vivid imagery, sounds, colors, and fragrances, the poem captures the energy and spirit of Hyderabad's bazaars while expressing pride in Indian traditions and culture during the British rule. I hope this is clear. Let us move on and discuss the various themes that you can find in this poem. This is a very elaborate and beautiful poem, and therefore there you can find a load of themes. I have just listed a few. So the first theme is cultural richness and traditional craftsmanship. So along with that I have given the explanation as well. Not necessary that you should write the same. You can also add your points and also your understanding and what you understood from this poem, and you can explain it Just make sure that you use the keywords and important words from the text, which will fetch you more marks, and also justify your theme with appropriate statements. The second is the market as a place of complete society and life, right? It's a very social place where you can socialize, meet new people, etc. Next theme, the importance of women's labor and creativity in Indian culture. The explanation is also given. Diversity and aesthetics in Indian culture and traditions. Next theme is about life, joy and sorrow. You can bring a contrast between the final stanza of the poem as well as the first stanza. It shows a contrast between even the colors or what the people are in the market, what they're there to buy. So it's a contrast. Nationalism and the Swadeshi spirit. So this is the main reason why the poet has written this poem, to bring out the nationalism and patriotism in the people by showcasing the richness and the beauty of our Indian markets. Because this shows us about how independent we can be without depending on foreign goods. We have our own means for music, for food, for spices, for flowers, for everything. We have our own means. We do not need to depend on a second foreign good, right? So now let us move on and identify the various figures of speech in this poem. So let us begin with imagery. I have done a detailed video on the different figures of speech. Kindly check it out on my channel for better understanding. So the first figure of speech is imagery. So under imagery we have a lot of types. So first let us look at visual imagery, which is about sight. It's about our vision. Turbans of crimson and silver. So this creates a vivid image of bright, colorful turbans in the marketplace. Mirrors with panels of amber. The use of amber gives a warm golden color to the mirrors. Girdles of gold for dancers. So this enhances the sense of richness and grandeur. Sheets of white blossoms creates a beautiful image of fresh white flowers. Auditory, which means it refers to an imagery of sound. What do you play, O musicians? Sitar, sarangi and drum. So this creates the sound of music in the bazaar. Olfactory, which is smell. What do you grind, O you maidens? Sandalwood, henna and spice. So this brings the fragrance of spices to life. It's just that I took out a few lines, but you can get more sorts of imagery from the poem with respect to visual as well as auditory. You can find more in the poem. So the next is simile. Frail as a dragonfly's wing. So this compares the delicate bells to the fragility of a dragonfly's wings. Next figure of speech is a metaphor. To perfume the sleep of the dead. Here sleep is a metaphor for death, making it sound peaceful and polite. Bells for the feet of blue pigeons, frail as a dragonfly's wing. The bells on pigeons' feet are compared to the delicate wings of a dragonfly. The comparison highlights the lightness and grace of the bells. You can find more in the poem. It's just that I took out a few, but you can find more repetition. Here you can see a continued repetition. What do you sell, O you merchants? What do you wait, O you vendors? What do you grind, O you maidens? So you can find all of this in the poem, which is a repetition of the same line. Next figure of speech is alliteration. Sandalwood, henna and spice. So here we can, we have a repetition of the S sound, sandalwood and spice. So we can hear a prominent S sound. So that's why this line is an alliteration, or we can also say consonants. Frail as a dragonfly's wing. So here F is repeated twice, so we can hear the F sound. Girdles of gold for dancers. So here we can see a repetition of G, which is also an alliteration. Crowns for the brow of a bridegroom. Brow and bridegroom. So there's a prominent B sound that we can hear. So therefore it's again an alliteration. Next we have personification. Personification means giving human attributes to a non-living thing. Why do you cry, O you fruitman? So the poet gives human qualities, which is the ability to cry or shout, to the fruit vendors. Spells for aeons to come. So spells are personified as something that can exist forever. This is just a supernatural or eternal sort of way that the poet is trying to say that everything in the market is temporary, but this the supernatural element is permanent, and it will affect the generations to come. To perfume the sleep of the dead. So the flowers are given the ability to provide fragrance, which symbolizes respect for the dead or the people who have deceased. So therefore we come to the end of this poem. I hope this video was of help to you. Let me know if you have anything to add to what I have said or shown in the comment section below. It will be a great help for each other. Also let me know if you want a few important questions and notes for this poem. I will be providing it as well. So thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned and let us meet again in another educational video. Thank you and happy learning.